G'day friends, quick video today, Nigel Woolley from Shed Gospel. The quick video today is about taking your constitutional position as an elector and as a voter. So I was reading a High Court decision today, just briefly skimmed through it, and it's quite good. It talks about a lot of things, but essentially what it was one of the members of New South Wales Parliament, probably one of the guys in the Legislative Council, who was unfairly dismissed. And he brought a case before the High Court, but it was Justice Michael Kirby that made a few points that I wanted to just file away in the memory bank, and which has an important effect, because talking about our constitutional position, I mean, we're people of the Commonwealth, right? It's clearly from the preamble of the Constitution, we're the people of the Commonwealth. But in terms of taking our constitutional position, see, the Governor-General has a constitutional position. The parliamentarians, senators and members of the Legislative Assembly or the House of Representatives, you know, they have a constitutional position. The governors have a constitutional position. The states have a constitutional position. The judges have a constitutional position. The High Court has a constitutional position. But we have a constitutional position in what we're to do in our society, in Australia, in the Commonwealth, is that we're holding the power of casting our vote, elective power. And I think it sounds fairly benign to begin with, but you could fit a lot of things under your constitutional heading of being an elector, as a voter, right? See, because you're allowed to elect and vote with a referendum. You're one of the only ones, along with me and others, that we're the only ones that are allowed to change the Constitution through our vote. But we're allowed to elect our parliamentarians. So in taking your constitutional role as an elector very seriously, I mean, what could you fit under the banner? You need to research, get all the information. You need to have freedom of information so that you can cast a proper vote. You need to be able to have transparency with the candidates that you elect. You have every right to expect transparency. You can expect freedom of information. All these things, and doing an inquiry into the lawful standing of all of these organisations and parliaments and states is your constitutional right as an elector and as a voter. So you could jam a lot of stuff under the banner of being an elector and a voter. So in your correspondence with these departments, I think it would be important to assume your constitutional role and say, as one of the people of the Commonwealth and as an elector or a voter, I expect to have this and this information from you. Please supply. If not, why not? You know? And obviously you have the freedom of political communication, for sure. That's a constitutional doctrine. So you have every right to be informed about the situation that presents itself to you. So in terms of, okay, you've got a vote, you've got an election coming up, you want to cast your vote properly, you want to be able to vote for the proper candidates. Don't you have every right to expect that are these candidates going to swear the lawful oath? Under your banner as an elector, constitutionally as an elector, you would have the constitutional right to go and inspect their oaths of office and ask what oath they're going to be swearing. I mean, that's very powerful. You have a constitutional position that they can't take off you. The same thing is with your constitutional position as an elector. You have every right to ensure that your vote that you're going to be casting with the Australian Electoral Commission is a valid, constitutionally created organisation. So the AEC, are they going to manipulate your vote? Are they going to make your vote worth less? I mean, under all of that, with freedom of information, you could get a whole lot of good low-down information on what's happening to expose the garbage. You know, you could put a whole lot of pressure on the situation and cause it to be being sorted out as taking your constitutional position as an elector. So it's important to remember, and I think it's an important point to address and to point out that you are featured in the Commonwealth Constitution by the fact that you've been asked to vote, and that you're the only one that can change the Constitution, and that you've been mentioned in the beginning as well as one of the people of the Commonwealth. So in taking your constitutional position, I think just a couple of keywords there, say I'm one of the people of the Commonwealth, and also saying I'm, as a voter, I want to know this. So I cast my vote, I want to know this. I want to know, are the states still in the Commonwealth? You prove to me that the states are still in the Commonwealth. You prove to me that this Parliament sitting in New South Wales, that's been sitting there for 119 years, is sitting lawfully. Because I'm not going to cast a vote for an unlawful Parliament. And in fact, I'm going to make sure that that Parliament is lawful. So I have every right constitutionally to ensure that it is lawful. And if it's not, I'm going to take it to the High Court, which is another constitutional position and role. High Court judges. So really, it's up to us. And as I was reading from today, from Justice Michael Kirby's statements, he said, look, it's wrong to expect that the High Court's going to sort out every issue, because they're dealing with matters of law. There's other spheres of influence and other spheres of things going on. It's not just law, it's politics. Politics plays a part, but politics can't always be judged in the High Court necessarily in the way that it's being played. It's got to play out to something that the High Court can deal with, I think. But Justice Kirby was saying, look, they're not the only department to begin taking action, essentially. He was saying that the electors have a role to ensure that their parliament are right. So when we cast our vote for our candidate, we have a constitutional role, and as part of the system and trusting the system, then we have the products of what we choose. So under that banner of the constitutional right as an elector to demand information, they can't withhold it from us. Especially whatever we can put under the banner of our right to vote, you know. So whatever we can do under that banner, then we have every right to ensure that our information is true and correct, and that we have all of the facts presented to us, and that we make sure our parliamentarians are sitting lawfully, that they're trustworthy people. And we have, like, as I said, it's constitutional under the Commonwealth Constitution. So it's a thought for you. But putting forward, there's a lot of people now getting mobilised, aren't there, with all of this stuff and wanting to know the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So if you put forward, I'm one of the people of the Commonwealth, especially if you've sworn the lawful oath to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II that's contained in the back of the Commonwealth Constitution, and you're a Commonwealth public officer like me, and then putting your voter or elector hat on, you can combine a lot of important things together to get the information that you need, and to put the right amount of pressure, and to not accept half-baked answers that are not lawful. So that's the way it is. But I just thought to present that with you today, because I really know that time is of the essence, and we do have to expose these state parliaments not sitting lawfully for sure. Down again in Victoria, Daniel Andrews with his extreme lockdowns is coming. But that's coming, as I said on my videos, that's coming from an unlawful parliament that's unlawful since 1975, and you're in no way in relationship to that parliament at all. You cannot be, because it's broken the Commonwealth Constitution section 106, and they're sitting another parliament in there, a whole bunch of electors, a whole bunch of parliamentarians in there, and people are empowering them through their vote because they don't understand the fundamental problem of what's happened. So the fact is, the state constitutions need to go back to what we had at Federation. That's the answer. So the 1855 constitutions need to be back in force. If they're not back in force, we can't afford to vote one more round for these parliamentarians that are sitting there in treason. The Parliament's in treason, the state's not in the Commonwealth anymore, and we have to see to it that it is restored. But we have to begin to put some pressure on the Australian Electoral Commission, because the AEC are the ones that they're using to do their dirty work for them, to probably, I don't know, maybe manipulate votes, I don't know there, but certainly they're managing a lot of the elections. And we then, if the election's put on by the Australian Electoral Commission, we have every right to ensure that they're being transparent with us, that they are honestly dealing with our votes, and that the state that's coming up for election is actually still within the Federation. See, because I'm not going to cast my vote for an unlawful parliament, and if it goes to court, then I'll just present the documents, and then the court will see. So, you know, you can get them there. So if they can't certify that, if the AEC can't certify that the state's still in the Commonwealth, then you do well to send them a letter and say, look, I'm not going to vote until you can certify it's in the Commonwealth. Then if they send you a fine, you'll just say, look, you haven't answered to my question that the state's in the Commonwealth, so we'll go to court and I'll present my evidence. But if they certify that the state is in the Commonwealth, and you know that it's not because of the evidence presented to you, then you don't vote, and so you get a fine anyway, and it goes to court anyway, and you can prove it that it's not in the Commonwealth. So that's my view. Don't take it as legal advice, because I don't want you to end up in trouble that you're not prepared for. But in terms of fixing our country up, as electors, as voters, the Parliament relies on our vote, and they will use it to the nth degree. The fact that they've been elected into positions, they will say, look, because I've been elected, the people trust me, so I can do whatever I want. I've read the Hansard, that's what they do. So before any more trouble happens, we just need to make sure that we're electing something lawful, which in my view, it 100% is not lawful at all, and they're not transparent with it. So God bless you, friends, and I just wanted to give you some information that would encourage you, and I have that on a High Court decision that shows about electors and voters, and that our role is separate to the High Court. Our role is separate to the Parliament. Our role is separate to, obviously, the governors and Governor-General. We have another role constitutionally as electors. So, should be good information for you. God bless you, friends. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.